Hello and welcome to another edition of my Become Unstoppable series. And as ever, I've got an amazing guest. So hi Natalie, how are you?
I am fine this morning. Thank you for having me on your show, Julie.
Oh, you are so welcome. And would you like to introduce yourself to everyone?
Of course. I'm Natalie Phillips. I run the agency Right Click Sell. I'm an email marketing coach, and I'm here today to talk about why mindset coaching is so brilliant here with Julie. So thank you for having me,
Oh,
Julie.
you are so welcome. So anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Julie Fitzpatrick and I'm the founder of Millieside Therapy and Coaching. And my passion really is supporting business owners and professionals out there who are feeling stressed, lacking in confidence and really want to find their mojo so that they can become unstoppable. Anyway, let's get on with the interview. But as you know, Natalie, I always ask this question: what does being unstoppable mean to you?
Well, Julie, for me, it means seeing the challenges in your way and doing it anyway. I'll give you a few examples of being unstoppable. For example, I ran a half marathon whilst pregnant. I have taken a buggy up Mount Snowdon, which is no errand for the timid, especially when you need walking boots. I have flown halfway around the world to India, and I run my own podcast despite being profoundly deaf. You can't see it, obviously. It's not that sort of a disability, but these are turned up to max what I've got on today, so I can hear you. And obviously, I coach and talk and consult with people all over the world, which again requires a massive shift in mindset and being unstoppable to go ahead and do that. It's a huge amount of courage.
Oh, amazing. That is a really good list of being unstoppable. And I hadn't appreciated actually about your hearing. What you were saying earlier now makes complete sense.
Thank you. Just to explain to anybody listening into this or watching this, I asked Julie, do you have captions? For a lot of my interviews and for everything I do with people, I caption it so I can see what's going on if I can't read or I miss a word. Um, I struggle. Some days I struggle, and some days I look like an absolute, because on meetings I'll suddenly go and answer the wrong question because I misheard what they said, and that can be quite hard to recover from. The knock to your self confidence when you've done nothing wrong, but you still manage to look an idiot anyway.
Oh, bless you. Yeah, and it is about being upfront
Yeah.
about like you've just done, isn't it? And saying, bear with me. So amazing then that
Yeah.
you've actually reached out to do your own podcast when obviously that is very much around listening to what other people are saying. How did that come about?
Um, it's an interesting one actually because it's a challenge by one of my coaches. I do use coaches quite a bit, and she goes, "What's the thing which scares you the most?" And I'm like, "Showing up in public and talking on live on stage like we're doing right now, in fact." And yes, making a mistake. And she said, "I want you to do it." And I'm like, "Are you for real?" And she's like, "Yes, you have massive imposter syndrome. I want you to go and do something which really scares you this week." So I thought, I'm not going to do it directly in my business. I'm going to do it in something adjacent to my business. Just to divert here, I do a lot of online writing. I run my own Substack for fantasy writing, and I reached out to one of my friends who is a transatlantic writer over in America. And we started what's known as the Serial Hour, which is about serializing your novel in public. Again, showing up, making mistakes. And we now run a monthly podcast on that. And I also interview other authors as well, just purely because I'm completely nosy about the process and how they manage. And the first time was nerve-wracking, absolutely nerve-wracking. I was sitting there, I had this little stone in my hand, this little piece here, and I was going, "Please, please, please make this work." And it did work. That's the best bit. The fear in your mind is nothing. It melts away once you actually take action and you do it. And yes, I messed up. I made a load of mistakes. I
I
owned
mess
my
up all
R,
the
I failed
time.
my yes, yeah, absolutely. But the point is that you can do that and survive it.
Mm,
However bad you build it up in your mind is nothing compared to the experience. Or
mm,
rather, the experience is nothing compared to the build-up. So half the time it is a case of go for it. If it doesn't
mm,
kill you, go for it and see what happens. And since then, I've been studying other people's podcasts and realised they all mess up. It's like this revelation. But because they're doing it 40, 50, 60 times, they get better. So it's about getting over the do it
mm.
once, do it twice. No, it's not going to look good. No, you're going to. There'll be that point when someone is looking up at you going, "I wish I was her." And
Yeah,
that's what my coach was trying to get across to me that day, but she couldn't tell me, she had to make me experience it.
I love that. It's a little bit like when you get pregnant and everybody tells you, "Oh my God, it's going to be this, it's going to be that," and you're like, "Yeah, whatever." And then until you actually experience it, you're like, "Ah, that's what they were talking about."
That's exactly what they're talking about, yeah.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
really is.
And that is so brilliant, because to overcome that fear, and it is very much feel that fear and do it anyway, isn't it? It's And
Yeah.
actually, in my group program that I've got running at the moment, one of the modules is actually called the Fearless Warrior, and it's all around fear is false evidence appearing real. And that's exactly what it is, right? It's us using our imagination in a really powerful way, but for a negative outcome. And it's understanding that the mind is the most powerful tool. The imagination is the most powerful tool that we have. Yet we need to learn that if we started using it in a positive way, imagine what your life would look like. Imagine what you could achieve if you stopped using up all your energy in worrying about negative things. And it's actually quite
Completely.
simple when you think about it, isn't it?
But it's the simplest lessons that are sometimes the hardest one to learn because you have to take them deep. It's not enough to say, "Okay, I'm thinking that, I'm knowing that." You've got to feel it.
Mm,
You really do. And for me, that's been the big shift when I went from freelancer to running my own business and into this where I am now. The shift is I can't wait for people to give me work. I can't let them dictate my self worth. I've got to do it. It's got to come from me. It's a huge shift. And I
mm,
think it's the reason why the best business people will continually reach out, get ideas, gather information, and yes, get coaching and learning. The best people I know, the ones in my group, are the ones continuously learning. And every
yeah,
time they do, they up level their worth and they therefore up level their money. The money follows the worth.
I totally, totally agree with you. I mean, I spent like 35 years in the corporate world and I did some training there, but it never really rocked my boat, right? I did things like my project management qualifications and things like that, but it was always a struggle. It wasn't something that really was my passion. But when I started on my journey to retrain myself to become, doing what I'm doing now, once I got into that, I was like, "Oh my God." I mean, pardon the pun, but it just blew my mind understanding how clever our mind is and literally how I mean, it sounds a bit obvious to say how it controls our life, but when you understand how it really controls your life and understand that actually you can change that, your mind isn't set. It's not how it has to be. Now, well, people don't always want to know unless it can be scientifically proven. Whereas now it can, can't it? With all scans and stuff like that, they can now prove that your mind is continually learning, your neuro pathways are firing off, neuroplasticity. Oh, okay. So now the scientists have said it's okay. We can be okay with it. But it's always been that way. But people just didn't know, did they? And they didn't want to know, really.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I mean, I'm a big follower of the Stoic philosophy, and that is all about mind over matter and mind over circumstance as well. It doesn't matter
Mm,
what circumstance you find yourself in, you cultivate your mind, you'll find a way out of it, you'll find a way to get through it.
mm,
So yes, I'm very much a fan of courage, temperament, justice, and wisdom, which is therefore virtues. And
mm.
I suspect all
Yeah,
of those are in your
absolutely.
program, Julie.
Mm. Yeah, is that well, funny enough, one of my modules is called Mind Over Matter, actually. And in that one, we do look at,
There we go.
um, there we go. So we do, I take people, because when people are joining the program, I have to work on the basis that they are starting from the bottom, right? You're always going to get people that have got different levels of understanding, and you'll know that from your business as well. You'll pick up a business owner who's pretty much on day one of their business versus someone who's been doing it for a while. Not to say they don't need your help, but they will have certain things already in place, won't they? So you have to
Yeah.
kind of when you're on a one-to-one, you can gauge it easier, can't you? Because you're working with that person on a one-to-one. But when you're in a group, you've got to kind of manage the group dynamic. So it is another skill on its own. But what I wanted to do was to
Yes.
take people back to basics, really. Either you knew it or you didn't. But even people that know stuff, if you're not doing it, you might as well not know it. It's all very well knowing that the way you talk to yourself is so important and it impacts everything you do. But if you're not actively doing that, then it's pointless knowing it, isn't it? So knowing and doing
Yeah.
are like reams apart. So
Yeah.
I,
Yes, they
I
are.
wanted to take them back and go, look, this is how the mind works. These are the, your conscious, subconscious, and all that kind of stuff, and taking them back to how you can control it and how it impacts your body if you don't breathe properly. And, and I'm really enjoying it. And the people on it, I believe, are really enjoying it because I asked them the other day, but they might have just been nice, but, hopefully not.
No, no. If they turn up and giving you their time, that's not niceness, that's necessity, because time
No,
is the
that's
most precious
true.
thing, much more precious than money.
Yeah, that's very true.
Um,
Mm,
yeah, so, it's all good.
mm,
The other dimension, which I've got now from my groups and my coaching calls and my networking outreach, I'm sure you find the same. So much of our time is now spent alone. Like
mm,
your business offices, work from home or working out and
yeah,
about. We don't have that fixed point of reference anymore that you would do from, say, traditional bricks and mortar or going into the office every day and
yeah,
surrounded by your
true.
team. I mean, my team,
Mm,
3 of my teams are remote.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so
And it
coaching fills
and it
that
is
gap.
that connection, isn't it? It's losing that connection. And again, in my group, I have like the live coaching session, and we have the group
Yeah,
community because it is all part of that. And I have that with my therapy group training and my business training, and it's all critical, really, because
yeah,
otherwise you are doing it on your own, and
yeah.
you can actually learn so much from other people. So if someone speaks up, you might not have had the confidence to speak up yourself, but if someone speaks up and you go, oh my God, that's exactly how I was feeling. And then it
Yes.
might give you the confidence to say something. Do you know what I mean? It's really valuable.
It really is. But there's also one more thing, and this is, you're probably going to think this is really, really cynical of me when I say it, but you are the sum of the smartest 5 people in
Mm,
your network. Okay?
mm,
So preferably you try and find people that are smarter than you, more intelligent than you, further along in the business than you, or just bring something else to the table, more empathy perhaps. Now,
mm,
you can go out and do that by going on the free Facebook groups or go on LinkedIn and cultivating that side. Nothing to it. But if
mm,
you're short of time and cash and you need to get to that level up as quickly as possible, which is typically most of us in our business because we just don't have any
mm,
time to spare, that's where coaching
mm.
is invaluable because your coach has already gathered those people for you,
Yeah,
him or
yeah,
her.
exactly.
You know that
Mm,
you are in the right place for it, and they cultivate those groups.
absolutely. I love that. Yeah. So on that note,
Just having
actually,
that, having
Natalie,
your coach almost as your gatekeeper is invaluable.
yeah, I lost you there for a minute, so sorry if I interrupted you there. Um, on that note, though, how, I mean, you're doing your business, which you briefly spoke about, but obviously you can speak about a little bit more. But how did you end up doing what you're doing? What's your story?
My story. Well, like you, I was in the corporate world. I did charity, I did B2B, I've done business to consumer. I was always in marketing. I'm a millennial, I grew up with the internet. So when email marketing came around, this was before Facebook, by the way, long before that, we were still in MySpace era. People like, how do I write emails? How do I do HTML? So I was fresh out of university and they threw me into that and into the website side. I loved email marketing much more than I did websites. Websites just about stats and counters. Email, you get the actual connection with people.
Mm,
You really do. It's the one-to-one conversations. I call it the stealth channel because nobody else apart from you and your subscriber sees it. But it's possible to build up a massive email list over time. And nobody knows. It's not formative like Facebook is or Instagram. So I went in, I fell in love with that, kept going with it. Then my first child was born. And I realized this is going to become a struggle. Then my second child was born, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't keep going to work each day. I can't juggle my family. And between you and
mm,
me, I was also getting fed up with the constraints of working with just one email team. I wanted more. So I started freelancing, as you do. And freelancing was great. I've worked with some amazing businesses all over the world. But again, you reach your limit. You only have so many hours in the day, there's only so much you can give people, and there's only so much mind space you can use for the technology as well. So that's when I went into the agency and coaching side, because I realised the two big things you're going to get with email marketing is A, teaching people how to use the tech, and B, giving them the mindset they need to use it properly. Because email is a long game. You have to do it week in, week out. You can't leave your list to decay. And you've got to enjoy it. If you're not using your technology properly, you're not enjoying it, you won't keep turning up. It's
Mm.
like this, you wouldn't be doing it.
Mm. Yeah, it's very true. Yeah. So you said,
So
can you? Yeah, go on. I keep losing you. Actually, it's quite a bad connection
I
going
don't
on
know
here.
what's going on today with this. Yeah, it's
So,
really, really frustrating. But we'll carry on. We'll carry on regardless. We'll do our best.
yeah,
Yes,
you just
please
keep talking.
repeat
I'll
your
talk, and
question.
hopefully it'll all work.
It will.
So
It will. I
the
have faith.
other thing you mentioned was about being with your writing, wasn't it? I know that one of your headline is that you're a Cornish writer. So
I am.
I'm actually writing a book. Well, I say I'm writing it. I've got someone helping me write it. I've given her loads of stuff, and she's like ghostwriting it for me, I suppose. But how did you get into
Okay.
that? So you always loved writing stories? Because that means you've got a good imagination if you do, doesn't it?
It drives me nuts. I have 24/7. I have a constant reel going in my head of stories to be written. I'm joking,
Really?
Julie. It's like having a Netflix in your head. So I write basically as therapy to get them out. So I've got some space. I've got some silence.
Oh, wow.
It's one of the reasons I do emails because emails are all about stories. I love that. So pandemic hit. I wrote my first novel. It was awful, I admit, but you have to start somewhere. Then I wrote another one, and this one was a bit better. And I tried querying it for a while, and I realised that wasn't working. And I also realised that what publishers and agents are really interested in are authors who've got an audience, because an audience means they've got sales, they've got attention. Okay, it's the reason
Right,
why celebrities will be approached by publishers and get £1 million advance, but general Joe blogs in the street won't. Not even if you're really,
right.
really good. Bear in mind that J.K. Rowling submitted to over 100 publishers
Yeah,
before Harry Potter got accepted. I don't know how many
yeah,
was for the Strike novels because she did that again under a different assumed name, but that gives you an example. And I realised as well I didn't want to go down the traditional publishing route, and I had to start showing up naked in public, so to speak. So I started a Substack newsletter. Now, for all the uninitiated, Substack is a place where you can start for free. You never have to pay for the email technology. You get basically a website where you publish all your posts and articles. It's like a kind of magazine format. And then if you turn on paid subscription, Substack take a percentage of the fee. So it's a little bit like Stripe in that respect. And it comes with its own community. It's a really, really nice place to go if you're creative or if you're any form of essay writer. So really recommend checking that out. So I started
oh,
there, I started making connection with other authors, and that's how I got into the podcasting business. And I accidentally started writing a weekly serial. So that's kind of where I'm now. I'm halfway through my serial, which started in October. When it's done, that is going to become a published book.
oh. So so you mean you're telling the story on your podcast?
I'm telling a story. I'm writing a weekly story, which goes out by email,
Right.
and then it will be turned into a book. And alongside that, I also do author interviews and podcasting.
Wow.
Yeah.
So have any of your books gone like really, really out there, or they kind of is
Not
still
yet,
in
not yet.
your
I
little
baby
world?
author, baby author at the moment, Julie. I'm just building my audience and, like I said, publishing my first books. But when it happens, I will let you know. I'll come back on this and celebrate
Oh,
it.
wow. Yeah, and I can come on your awful one as
Yeah.
well when my book's coming out.
Oh,
I haven't even thought about that part yet, to be honest.
yeah,
That's a whole another conversation, isn't it?
it
But
is.
I am kind of. I mean, I wouldn't say actually that I've ever been that creative. At school, I wasn't really. When they used to say, "Oh, go away and write an essay," I'll be like, "Oh, really?" So I've never had that powerful imagination, right? Which some people
Mhm.
do. And maybe that's impacted me in my life in terms of certain elements of it. And until I found doing what I'm doing now, actually, I'd always really struggled to find something that I loved. I would do things, even with music. People say, "Oh, what music do you like?" And I go, "Oh, Oh, I like loads of stuff. I've never gone, oh my God, I just love this. And I've never been obsessed with anything really. And I always wondered
Yeah.
if why was that something wrong with me? I don't know. But anyway, that's a conversation for another day. But when like, well, almost 2 weeks time, my beloved Luther left us. And he was my, well, obviously he was our family dog, but when I started doing all of this, he decided he was going to be my therapy dog, and he just came along to the sessions, and he was so powerful. And being a huge Great Dane, he just, everywhere we went, it was, oh my God, look at the size of him. And people used to, stop their cars so they could get out and say hi to him. He was like a local celebrity. But he also helped lots of people in other ways. Like he helped people overcome being fear of dog, because he was so big, they could just stroke him. Whereas little dogs sometimes like a bit jumpy, aren't they, and stuff.
Yeah.
And he just made such a difference to so many people's lives, right? And the day after he died, I just got this, well, me talking to myself in my head, but I'd never had it like this before. And he went, Julie, you've got to write a book. And it's a story of how story of Luther's life and how he impacted other people. And as I was sitting there, I just had little images going like this that said, these were the messages that people had already started. As soon as we told everyone he had gone, the amount of messages we got all over social media and everywhere. And we also had a memorial for him at the local park, and there was about 30-40 people that come to that. I mean, who does that for a dog, right? But in this message, I just had images of all these messages, and it said, but not only that, you need to capture stories of other people's stories about their dogs and how they've had transformational impact in people's lives. So I put a message out and said, I want you to send me your stories. And so the book's going to have people's stories in it as well as our stories as a family. So what we did, I don't know if you've heard of Otter, which is just that you talk into it and it types, isn't it? We just did lots of those, and I used it kind of as like a journal of after he died and how I was feeling, and how it really impacted my business, because I couldn't function anymore. And after he died, I got 0 calls, because I was mucking about with my niece as well. But yeah, the vibration and everything else. But then so we were just sending over to Tia, who's doing it, sending her over chunks of these stories, and she's putting it together. But there was something that I thought, oh yeah, it's really all right. But there was something that wasn't quite clicking on how, well, who's going to buy it? What's the point of it? What's, who's the audience going to be, and all that kind of stuff. But then over time, because bearing in mind it's almost a year now, one of my clients registered a star for him. And I only told him the other day, actually, how powerful that has been, because in my therapy training, we talk about, you would do your grounding, and imagine this bright light going up to the universe and connecting. And it said, go and find and connect with your favorite star. And at this point, I'd never really got it. I never really knew how to. And then I suddenly went, oh my God, I've got my own Lufa star. And from that moment, I went like, I literally felt clicking my fingers, right? And I could feel the connection. And since then, I've been able to build on that. I'm still like, if this is a journey, I'm like here on it. But in his death, he's taught me how to continue my journey and be able to start connecting with my body. And as a result of that changes the way I teach my clients. And this is what I'm bringing into my group program, about how the mind and body is connected. And, you can't have one or the other. It is all the same thing. So that's kind of the premise of the book.
Wow. That sounds powerful, Julie. And since you've already got a community gathered around your book, thanks to the entire way it's been set up, I recommend to keep documenting that journey on Instagram, even with just little snippets like, this is what I'm working on today, this is how we're editing it. Keep people interested, and then get them to spread the word when you publish.
That's a good idea. Yeah, that's a good idea. I should be getting my first full version of it in next month, I think. And then obviously we'll do the revision. And so at the moment it's difficult, when you're like, it's either I'm going to read it and go, Or so I'm hoping it's that.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, especially when you go getting your ghost written, it's always scary that first time going through it and reacquainting yourself. It's a bit like
yeah.
a third date when you're just like, right, this is where I take my top off and they're going to see my bra. It's like that level of nervousness. Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but one of the things I've loved about going on my transformational journey from leaving the corporate world is how once I fixed my limiting beliefs, right? Because let's be honest here, I had limiting beliefs like most of us have got, and one of my key
Yeah.
ones was I didn't think I was good enough, right? So as a result of that, that kept me small. Don't get me wrong, I had a good career, earned good money, and everybody else will probably think that, oh my God, you've done so much. Da, 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 da. But I always felt I didn't want to put myself out there because if I put myself out there, people would. What my saying actually was, if I put myself on a pedestal, people would just push me off, right? So why
Yeah.
put myself out there? But once I uncovered all of that, and I know that I'm more than enough, and I am truly unstoppable, which is where all that came from, it started to open doors that I didn't even know I wanted to open. I didn't know I wanted to write a book. I didn't. I've won 2 awards. I didn't know I'm in a book as well. I didn't even know I wanted to do that. I didn't know I wanted to
Yeah.
speak on stages. I didn't know I wanted to do social media. Well, I don't really, but I didn't know I was going to end up doing interviews. You know what I mean? And it's like
Yeah.
sometimes I just like sit back and laugh and think, oh my God, like all
Yeah.
this has started because I took action and decided to make fundamental changes in my life. So how does that resonate with you? Does that feel similar
So
or
much. So much, Julie. The same. The absolute same. You just take one little step and then it unfolds in huge different directions. Like I call it the action mandala. Have you ever drawn a mandala? So you
no? But I
start out
think
with
I
a
know what
tiny
you mean. Yeah, the
yes.
little
So you start out with a tiny circle. That's you taking action. This tiny perfect circle, and it's small. And then from there you draw the first leaves. Then you fill it in and draw the second set of leaves, and so on. And it just blooms, and it goes out in
ah,
different directions in ways you never thought of. And that's kind of where
mm,
I'm right now. And
mm,
that's where I'm so glad to see you're going as well. It's just taking that first step and ignoring the fear. Just going through it. You've got to go through it. And nobody ever takes that fear away. It's still going to be there, whether you've got a list of 100, 1,000, if you've got a million people on TikTok telling you amazing, you're still going to have the fear. I can bet you right now, Taylor Smith still has the fear when she
yeah,
goes on stage. Practice helps, of course, and familiarity, but there'll still be that moment of jiggling excitement, like, oh God, face, and everyone sees it.
yeah. And I think you need
Yeah,
that because I mean, funny enough, in my fearless warrior training session, it was about even like stress as well because it's all around stress and fear. We do need them a little bit in our lives because we need to have that get up and go, don't we? We need to have that excitement. And a
yeah,
lot of performers
yeah,
would say that once I don't have that anymore, I know it's time to give up because it means I'm not passionate about it anymore. But what we don't need is having irrational stress and irrational fears, which most of us have. Anxiety is fear based, fear of failure, procrastination, they're all fear based, right? So we don't need the fundamental root of that. We can well, when they come and work with me, they can get rid of that, right? But we do need an element of it. And
yes,
but what happens as well is when you are on a journey and you get to where you are and you get comfortable again, you don't really have that fear. But when you push yourself and you go to the next level, yeah, then you feel a bit uncomfortable again. But that's okay. It doesn't mean you've gone right back to where you were before. It just means you're growing and you're pushing
yeah,
yourself. And that's good, right?
yeah. In fact, this is one of the things one of my other coaches did. I went to a one of many conference a few years ago, and they got us playing something called patriarchy chicken. So, have you ever done this, Julie? Patriarchy chicken. Okay, right. So, if you're female, you give way in the street. Okay, you automatically, if you see a man coming towards you or a group of men coming towards you, you will give way. You don't even think about it. Okay, you just do it because you don't want to get hurt, and then they're not going to back down. What we did here was we're in this massive conference room. There's about 100 women here. Most of them were coaches, okay, really, really advanced, experienced coaches like yourself, Julie. And our fearless leader said, right, everybody, I want you to walk and I don't want you to give way. You are going to walk around this room and you will not give way. And I want you to see how you feel. And everyone went, oh crap. That literally, that's the expression I saw across everyone's faces. Because it's something that's so unconscious, you don't even think about it. And you walk and you're like, I'm going to, and the last minute you stop. Now, if you're a man, and this is a key difference between coaching men and women, if you're a man, you get testosterone build up, okay? You get competitive, okay? You can even feel a bit of aggression and it feels good. But women do not act like that. We get anxious and we get stressed because we're going straight towards it. Okay. And that's not our automatic response. We can kick into flight or fight mode, and we're more likely to fly, to run away than we are to fight. Okay. Now this is generalization, but that's how we felt. And that's why we give way on the street. And it's not great. It's not great that we feel we have to do that. But as the smaller, physically weaker part of the species, that's what happens. When it comes to coaching, you have to recognize that same fight and flight impulse, which is why you've got the bro code hustle culture, which says just go and get those 40 calls done. Yeah, it's going to hurt, but you've got to get. And I'm like, that's not me. And that's not what coaching should be about. Instead, it's about learning to live with discomfort and finding the way around it that makes you comfortable selling, makes you comfortable getting to that next level. You can't play patriarchal chicken with your emotions.
No, and it's also around negative and masculine energy as well. And it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman, but we all
Yeah.
have masculine and feminine, don't we? But what we have to do if we want to live a happy and balanced life, they need to be balanced. And we're not most of the time, because I wasn't. When I was in a corporate world, it was very, I've always worked in very male dominated environments. It's very like, come on, you gotta get this done, come on,
Exactly. Yeah.
and you end up coming home with that, because when you're in it all the time, it just becomes your normal. And for women, especially in that, but men as well, actually, men as well. My home phone, that it never rings ever. Unless it's a cold call.
It's clearly a tech woman that's at work today.
As your luck. Yeah, so it's about getting that balance. So feminine's more like your intuition and tapping into your heart and all that kind of stuff. And that's the journey that I've been on since I've been up on my entrepreneurial journey, because I was very much in my masculine energy. And then you come home, and then depending on what your other half is doing, if you've got one, it's kind of like, if they're really in their high masculine energy as well, that's when you're like, or they might be more in their feminine, and you're and you have to really balance the roles. It's quite a complicated subject, actually, but it is important that we're all aware, actually, that if you want to live a happy and balanced life, we do have to make sure that we've got all elements, so it is more balanced.
It is, and it means not ignoring something which is out of alignment. And sometimes you do need someone, such as yourself, Julie, to point out why is this resistance in place. Don't push through it. Try to work out why first.
Yeah.
And then other times it's about balance. It's as you said, getting that right.
But a lot of it is inherently learned. So learned behaviour from our parents and caregivers. Because even things like stress and anxiety, people go, "Well, I'm stressed and anxious, but my mum always was," because we inherit it. No, you don't. It's not the you. It is in a sense that it's learnt behaviour, but it's not part of your genes. It's like, yes, you behave like that because that's how you were brought up and that's what you learn. But it doesn't mean, but they were like it. Yes, I know, but it's still the knock-on effect of the learnt behaviour. But someone has to break that cycle. Someone has to break that cycle. And why can't that be? When I say you, I don't mean you know what I mean? But why can't it be you, the audience out there? You can be the one that breaks that cycle in your family. You be the one that decides that this is not right and I know I can change this. Because actually, when you fundamentally get to the nooks and crannies of it, it's not that hard to do. You can't do it on your own, but you can get to the root cause of what your limiting beliefs are. We can get rid of them like that. But obviously it takes a little bit of work and a commitment and stuff like that. But just know that you can change. You don't have to live anxious all your life. You don't have to be fearful. You don't have to be living in fear of everything, because that is learnt behaviour and you using your imagination in a negative way.
we're here for all the positive stuff, definitely.
Yes.
Because when you do, the rewards are amazing, absolutely amazing.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't go back to that old life, would you? Where you're like caught up in that, s- stuck in
I
you, stuck.
sometimes miss the camaraderie. It, I
Mm,
mean, at this moment in time, I'm trapped 5 different time zones for a meeting this afternoon, and it was simply just going to the office and grabbing a coffee, and then,
yeah.
brainstorming with
Mm,
people. Um, but the flip side is that there are so many more opportunities out there and so much more room for growth. Bear in mind that if you're listening to this and you are a business owner, you're actually in a minority because not many people have the courage just to stand on their own 2 feet and start a business in the first place. You're already ahead of the pack.
mm,
So that's the first thing. And the second thing is you've already taken the courage to know I need to improve. This is how I do it. This by asking for help, by reaching out to people that have the tools to help you. And again,
mm,
that takes a massive amount of courage because most people are like, I'm fine, I'm okay. I said Julie, they put themselves on a pedestal and they can't admit there's a problem.
mm. Yeah,
So
very true.
for me, that's been the biggest thing. And yeah, I can't go back to what I was. I don't want to go back to what I was.
Mm.
I want to meet more amazing people. I want to change
Yeah,
their lives. I'm looking forward to that. Write more
yeah,
books.
same. Yeah, same. It's like we get up in the morning and yeah, maybe we don't do it every single day, but most days I get up in the morning and I do my meditation, my exercise, set myself up for the day, do my self-care. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm going to transform someone's life today. I never ever said that when I was in the corporate world. In fact, I
No,
wouldn't even
no,
be doing my exercise and meditation in the morning because I wouldn't have had time because I had to get up in London or, don't have time for doing
yeah.
stuff like that.
I
And
sometimes
that's,
think I think productivity would actually improve immensely in this country if we had a meditation coach on the
mm,
trains. So,
yeah,
where people get to de-stress or get ready for the day.
yeah, that's true, especially on the way home as well.
Yeah.
So to get out of your masculine energy to get back in
Yeah.
alignment.
Time to detox and de-stress. Put the office
Yeah,
away. Yeah.
yeah. So have you in your previous life versus, well, any time of your life really, would you say that you've ever felt stressed or would you ever admit to being stressed?
Yes, yes. The main thing was around pregnancy and then obviously childcare afterwards, dropping my babe off each morning and going into work. But I probably wouldn't have admitted that to my boss. It would
Mm,
have been to my co-workers and my friends. But
mm,
unfortunately, they wouldn't have been in a position to do much about it.
yeah.
And it varied. I mean, the male bosses, for example, you could see them getting stressed. They actually act very differently to the female ones. Who tended to internalize it. You could see the markers there and the signs. Um, and unfortunately, when you're in marketing, you see firsthand if the company is under stress because it always comes back to you and the sales team going, I don't have enough leads, I haven't got money coming in, and it rubs off.
Mm,
And it's
yeah,
not
that
brilliant.
pressure, isn't it? Yeah. And this is the problem, isn't it? It's like a lot of people will throw the word stress around. Oh God, I'm so stressed or I'm so anxious. Oh my God. But actually admitting it and acknowledging that they might need to make some changes, or maybe they've got physical conditions on the back of it, right? Because when we're
Yeah,
stressed and overwhelmed all the time, it does actually cause disease, like as in disease, but also disease in our bodies, right? And all the physical conditions start to happen. But people don't necessarily realize that, do they? And know that that's a connection. So maybe you're constantly overthinking so that you're not sleeping at night. And if you're not sleeping at night, your body's not healing because that's the opportunity for your body to heal, right? So then
yeah,
maybe you get up in the morning and you feel tired and you feel agitated, and then you're starting that morning off really pissed off, really, because oh, it's another crappy night's sleep I had last night, and oh, am I
yeah,
going to get through the day? Oh my God, it's going to be terrible. Oh, I haven't got time to have any breakfast anyway, so I'm running late now. And no, I'll pick up some chocolate on the way and some cup of
yeah.
coffee, you know, and then
At which
you're
point,
going, yeah, you're in that cycle, aren't
yeah,
you? And then when lunchtime comes, you're like, oh, I'll just go and get some more crisps because I haven't got time to eat anything decent. Oh, I'll get a chocolate bar. And then you start feeling like you're getting your highs and lows, aren't you, from the sugar rush and the coffee rush, and then you get home and you're like, oh, now I'm flat again. I can't be able to cook dinner. I haven't done no exercise today because I'm just too tired. And then you go to bed because you're exhausted, but you can't sleep. because your mind hasn't stopped, and then it just becomes that vicious
It starts
circle.
again, yeah.
And then
It's vicious. Here's how my day works out. I wake up, I go through and do some social connections. I do some writing. I take my daughter to school. We walk to school. Come back here. Today I've had an interview with you, and I do some client work and some selling. And then lunchtime I will be going to the beach with my husband because we live 15 minutes away from the beach. So Cornish writer, literally on the beach. I'm living the stereotype.
oh
Um,
wow,
and then this afternoon, as I said, international clients calls going on there, and then connections and networking this evening, and home cooked meals. So
nice.
there is a different way out there. There really is. You can
Absolutely.
design your own life. You do not have to be stuck in the cycle.
And that's what I love about managing my own calendar as well. Although sometimes I'm like, did I arrange all this stuff? But anyway, I'm off to a networking group this afternoon
Yes,
myself.
we're our own worst enemy.
Yeah. But anyway, my lovely, I'd love to carry on talking to you, but we're coming towards the end now. So do you want to do a quick shout out on what you're up to or how people can come and work with
Yeah,
you?
I would love that. Thank you so much, Julie. Okay, so if you're having problems with your email program, you don't know where to start, or you've had a list and you haven't emailed them in months and you're terrified of what to do next, come to me. I do two things. I do one-to-one packages where I'll sit down with you and we'll go through and fix everything. This is hands-on stuff, by the way, everybody. I know what I'm doing. I'm a tech, I'm a geek. I geek out over stats. The other thing I do is coaching, and the coaching side is to getting you up to speed with writing your own emails, enjoying the interaction and testing it so you really do get decent results, physical, tangible results, sales from your emails. So if you've got a list which is underperforming at the moment, give me a call. Okay, it's free. The first 15 minutes is free. You'll come away with at least 3 new ideas, and I'll leave you buzzing in a good
You
way.
will.
No caffeine required. Thank you.
That could be your tagline, isn't it? I'll keep you buzzing with no caffeine, no artificial stimulants.
No artificial
And
stimulants
actually,
required yet. All natural.
yeah, there you go. You're welcome. That could be mine's become unstoppable. Yours is no added preservatives. But thank you so much. And I've had a call with Natalie, and she is truly amazing. And we'll be connecting from now on anyway. But thank you so much for watching. This video will go onto my YouTube channel, Millieside Therapy and Coaching. So make sure you go over there, like and subscribe, and watch this video again and any others that are on there. And if you want to come and work with me, if you're really struggling at the moment and you don't really know who you are anymore and you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed and your confidence is shot, then do come to me and come and join my program. It's phenomenal, and you've got the community and you're going to learn about how this stuff works, and you're going to get hypnosis in there as well. So we're actually not going to just talk about this stuff. We're actually fundamentally going to go in, deep dive in, and we're going to fix you as well along the way. So if you're interested, then let me know, and I will tag obviously Natalie in all these social medias as well, so that you'll have her details there. So thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time on my Unstoppable series with another amazing guest. So thank you and goodbye for now.
Bye, everybody.